Hey guys, David from MDBootstrap.com. Welcome to our new series which we prepared for you. In this new series, we're gonna show you how to build and create the most famous pages you probably know, like Facebook or Instagram, using MD Bootstrap 5. So in this series, we're gonna build all the pages which you can see right over here. So this is the Facebook built with components of MDB5. Do you recognize this? Instagram rebuilt with MDB5. If you want to build e-commerce page, nothing easier. That's how you can recreate Amazon web page using MDB5, and we have more like Airbnb with maps and all the functionality, Spotify, Netflix in the light mode, and something which we're gonna start our series with, so Trello. If you know this task management tool, today I'm gonna show you how to rebuild its layout using MDB5 with the functionality like drag and drop and horizontal scrolls and so on and so on. So without further ado, let's get started. So in order to start, navigate to mdbootstrap.com, go to MDB5 sections. Currently you can find the switch on the right side of your screen. Get started, download MDB5, unzip it, and open this in Visual Studio Code or other text editor of your choice. Now let's open this in a live server. So this is the live preview and we are ready to go. So let's start with removing content which is already here, and let's start with our header. So that's gonna be our header. Header, fixed top. We already talked about fixed top classes in the previous tutorials. So long story short, let me show you that. Fixed header will make sure that as soon as we have more content over here and we could possibly scroll down, it will remain sticked to the top like we do with navbars. Now let's add some div over here. With some border at the bottom and some paddings. To remind you, these are all MDB and Bootstrap classes. So border bottom will make border bottom visible. P3 stands for padding tree, so padding in all directions. So now we have this line over here, and we're gonna start filling this with a content in a second. So now we're gonna use Bootstrap grid. So I'm gonna use container fluid and add first and only row. Okay, let's create some divs. So we want to have 3 divs now. I'm gonna start with the first one. I'm gonna use call MD5. So div which will have width of 5 in Bootstrap grid. Now let's enable dflex to enable flexbox and say justify content MD start. I'm gonna explain it to you in a second. So let's say this is our left panel. Then we're gonna have another div which will be call MD2, and this is our center part. And we want obviously have the last right part, so call MD5 obviously, because that should sum up to 12. So 5 plus 2 gives 12. If you don't know Bootstrap grid, then I strongly encourage you to check our tutorials on Bootstrap grid, where you're gonna find all the classes and all the explanation why do we use these classes. And then again, let's use dflex and justify content MD end, and this is right. So now let's check result, and as you can see, we used Flexbox to align our items to the left, to the center, and to the right. Okay, now what I also want to do, I'm gonna add some classes. I'm gonna add some classes to make sure that this some of the part will disappear on a smaller screen, because obviously we don't have much space on a smaller screen, so we want to hide some of the elements. So if we check the final result and change the screen size, you're gonna see that this part, we want just this part to remain, and we want to hide all other items over here. So now, in order to achieve that, let's add some classes. So what we want to do, what we want to add here are classes like dnone, dlarge flex, and we want to do the same with a second div, dnone, which will basically remove it from screen on the large screen size. Okay, now let's start to fill this with content. So let's start with icons. In order to do that, let's go to MDB5 docs, search for icons, and let's search for large. I'm looking for this icon. As soon as I click on it, it's copying code for me, so I'm gonna paste it over here. Now I'm gonna find some more icons. I'm looking for home icon and columns. Okay, we have 3 icons. Now we need some margins to look better. So let me add also some links here. So I'm gonna use a class text reset to reset all the styles for text, and margin x3. Okay, let's get this one over here. Okay, it's too big. Let's change it to something. Okay, we didn't want to have margins in both directions, just to the right. Okay, and now I also want to add here some span with dnone Excel inline block, saying it's board. Okay, and I put it inside E, and I don't want to have this inside icon, I want to have it outside. Okay, so now that's why our icon got, this text was broken, but now it's fixed. And let's add some margin to the icon. Okay, so to push this a little bit towards the center. Okay, now let's add search box over here. So I'm gonna go to navbars documentation, and here we have our search. So I'm gonna copy this part from search. So this is our form. Let's copy this one, including comment. Okay, so this is over here. Now we don't need button here, so I'm gonna get rid of this button. Now what we want to do, add some small icons over here. So we're gonna use another span here, inside form span, which will have class input, group, text, and we want to remove border from it. Oops, 0. And let's add some icon. Search. Yeah, we have icon over here. And this is mostly it for now. Okay, now we have to align these items because they are not equal, right? They are not vertically aligned. And in order to do so, what we're gonna do, we're gonna add class to our wrapper. So to this left part, and we're gonna add justify content center and align items center, which will justify them in the horizontal and vertical direction. Okay, so the first part is ready. Let's move to the center part where we're gonna have some logo. So then again, let's go to navbars and let's search for example with logo. Here we have it. So I'm just gonna copy it and I'm just gonna paste it inside the center part. Let's see how it looks. Yep, it's great. Okay. By the way, just to explain you these classes, which I didn't do, input group text, if you navigate to docs and go to forms and input groups, you're gonna find these examples where we join two inputs like we did over here with search and so on. Okay, now it's high time to move to the right side where we're gonna have another icons and some avatar. So let me quickly add these icons remaining. So we have icons here, and now let's add avatar here. So we're gonna get this avatar from navbars again, navbar, search for avatar example here, and let's copy this with example. So we have this A. Okay, we have an avatar now. Let's use classes again. Justify content center, justify align item center. And let's work with our margins a little bit. So our first navbar is ready. Now let's take care of the second line over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this basic example from here, basic navbar. I'm gonna copy this and paste it below. So this is our first. And now let's paste navbar. Now, obviously, we don't need all these items here, so let me get rid of them. What we actually want is just this container wrapper. So I'm gonna remove everything from inside, including the toggle button. Okay, now we have brand, and now we're gonna add these buttons over here and avatars. So let's navigate to button. Documentation, we're gonna be using outline button, so I'm gonna copy primary button over here. Okay, and let's replace that one. We also wanna have an icon over here, which is a clipboard icon. You know what, I'm gonna open this in new window because I'm using these icons a lot, so I will be I'm gonna have a separate dedicated window for them, clipboard. Actually not clipboard, we want to have this clipboard list. Yeah, this is the one which I'm looking for. So this is icon and board. Yeah, this is it. Let's add some small margin. Yeah, right. Okay, so now let me quickly add remaining buttons. So so for this I'm gonna use button link. So I'm gonna use this link button over here. So here it is, and by the way, now Flex is messing up our layout, so we need to add some containers here. I forgot about it. So let's wrap this up. So these two buttons, let's wrap them up with a div. So let me add some div here with the flex and align items center, which you already know. And let's wrap this up. Okay, so this is one div, and let's add another one. So now this will be aligned to the left and this to the right. Okay, so now I'm gonna quickly add remaining buttons and avatars, which you already know from here. So let me just quickly do that. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to make it bigger. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use H5 instead of normal text. Yeah, now it's bigger. Okay, so now okay guys, so we are ready. I just added these buttons from interesting things. I mean, there's nothing new, nothing fancy over here. So they're just regular buttons with some icons. Interesting part might be this one where we have this +2. So let's have a quick look at this one. Where do we have it? +2. It's here, right? So this is floating button, which you're also gonna find in our docs. Floating button over here, so it's just one of the class which makes it rounded. Okay, now let's move to our main part. So we're gonna fill this one with, we want to have a background image over here, and we want to add this list. So as far as background is concerned, let's go to intro section. It's actually called headers, and let's search for this part with background image, and we're gonna use this piece of code. So I'm gonna copy this one. Now we have our header done, so this is gonna be our main part. So I'm gonna use actually main instead of div, and let's close this tag, and we want this height to be 100 VH, so the full height. And I also want to use different image here. And let's have a look. Yep, this is what we wanted. Now let's also add some custom styles over here. So first of all, let's add some styles in here. So we want our body and main to have full height of 100% just in case. Now what we also want to do is we want to create a mask, and let me just quickly do that, and I'm going to explain it to you why we are doing this. Top 58 pixels, because this is the height of our nav bars, And we also want this on smaller screens. I'm doing this. I know all these commands by heart, but if you don't know them, you can always check our docs and go for query, media query, breakpoints actually. And here you're gonna find these media queries, which I'm using over here. I know them by heart already, so I don't need them. As I mentioned, we want to have mask. We need mask to make this picture darker, because otherwise is too bright. So let's go and use mask now. So let's go for mask. So as you can see, we can use it like this. So I'm gonna copy this class mask over and paste it below our main. So right over here, right? And now our mask is working. And let me just adjust the last argument, which is transparency, so 0.7. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. Okay, let's now add new section for our items. So we're gonna add section over here. And I'm gonna use deflex align items start and full height. And this is because I want my board, my list, to place next to each other, and without that they would just go one below the other as a block element. So I want them to put them next to each other. Okay, and now also I'm gonna add our perfect scroll bar to this container. Position relative and data sort table to sort table. Now let me quickly explain it to you. So if you check scroll bar, you're gonna see that this is component of MDB, which change easily this, which makes this scroll bar nice and neat. And you can use it very, very easily just by adding some attributes to our div, and this will make this great scroll bar for you. And the second thing was, what was it? Oh, sort table, right? So if you check our plugins, and we have plenty of them, you're gonna see that we have one of those like drag and drop, and we'll be using this here because we want to sort our items on the list. So that's why we are adding now this sort table over here. Okay, so now let's add some card here, and we want to add card header. So this is header. We want also to add content. And this content we want to be sort table. And finally, we want also to add some footer. Card footer. So we want to add this. Now let's add some classes to fix it. So we want to have this shadow one strong, which is gonna add some shadow to our class, some margins, paddings, padding bottom 0. Now we want to use deflex justify content between, some more paddings on bottom, on the right. Obviously I did it in the past, so to find the best options for you. And we need to add some styles. So we want our card to have min width and max. We want set it height to auto and use some background color, something whitish, so like eback F0. Yeah. Now we also want to add some styles to sortable item. Or actually, let's leave it for now. Okay, so we need to fix this height, and this is because I have a typo. Align items, and I missed the dash start. Okay, great. Now we need to get back to add some margins to push this content a little bit down. So let's get back to fixed top margin bottom 4. And okay, what we also have to do is we need to get rid of this padding over here. We don't need this. Yeah, okay. And now this hides behind it because I probably messed up something with styles. Obviously this one doesn't get applied, so we went. Okay, and it still doesn't work, and it's because we didn't put this inside our mask. This section was outside mask. So yeah, now we are good. Okay, so we have our card, so let's take care of it right now. So let's change a little bit the design of that card, starting with our card header. So let's add something like p mb0, and we'll have strong in it, and let's say it's backlog list. And we also want to have some button with an icon. So let me do this. Button btn link text reset margin 0 padding 0 and padding x2. And we want to have some icon here. Ellipse. Yeah, okay, so here we have it. Now let's go to content, so to this part. So what we want to have here, so this is sortable content. We want to have sortable item, card, body, rounded, change some background, shadows. If you don't understand these classes, don't worry, please check our channel where we explain all classes in details. Let me just copy paste it a few times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, now they are already sortable. Now let's get back to our styles, which I started typing before. So we also want to change cursor when you hover over. So we want to have grab, and let's add some transition here. Yeah, and we want to hover background color RGBA 000 000. Let's see. Yeah, okay, and finally footer. So I want to have another button here, btn link, btn blog to fill full width, and text reset. And plus. So I want to have this plus and add another card. We also want to add data ripple color dark and type button to be correct. And yeah, voila. This is our list. So the last thing we have to do is to create a few more lists. And yeah, our board is ready. Okay guys, so this was first video from our new series, which I talked about in the beginning. As I told you before, we also gonna build other websites like Facebook, Instagram, Airbnb, Amazon, and so on and so on. So we will be rebuilding all the pages using MDB. I hope you see how easy it is to recreate the layout and the functionality of the front-end part of those pages. If you don't want to miss the future tutorials, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because we are releasing videos like this every Tuesday and Thursday, Friday. So two times a week. So if you don't want to miss that, don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, don't forget to put them in the comments. And I also strongly encourage you to join our Facebook group, where you're gonna find a lot of support from our team members. You're gonna find the link in the description down below, obviously. Thank you for watching, and see you next week in the new video.
We'll be right back.